Okay, we'll start with this. I think actually this is first lecture. This course name is the fundamentals of operating systems, and already I just explained this slide in one lecture. So you have the 40 marks weightage for assignments, or we can say quizzes, followed by oral, and end semester examination is of 60 marks. But I think here also, as I told, so only 30 mark test would be there, and the 30 marks again are going for the your oral, right? So we'll start with the introduction about the operating system. Now see, when we just go for the bookish definitions, so these are the kind of definitions we can see. The operating system is a system software, right? Or again we can say it works between the user and computer hardware like CPU, IO devices, and memory. Or again, we can say that operating system is a interface between users and computer hardware. Now see, this is the definition, it's okay. But the examples also we know which examples are there for the operating system. So that very the popular operating system is the Windows operating system. Then Linux is also that, Macintosh is also, or the other operating systems are also there, right? So these are the operating systems examples we can say. And whatever the third, the line I have written here, operating system is a interface between users and computer hardware. Now see, the main thing is what we have a laptop or computer, right? And it has some hardwares like the CPU, that we say brain of this laptop or computer. Then IO devices means what? That keyboard and that screen, whatever the monitor or whatever is the screen, that is the output device, and whatever is the input device, that is a keyboard, right? And also that memory means primary memory. So primary memory is the most important part in the computer, because to execute any process, we need to bring that first process into the memory, and then we can execute, or then we can send it to the CPU. So that's why that memory is also important part, and all the processes has happened with the CPU or processor, we can say, right? So to access these the devices, so which the CPU, IO devices, and memory, oh, to access this one, we need to use that operating system, and that operating system is an interface between that user means like us. So that is an interface between that user and with the hardware devices. So see, this is one the simple example of this. Suppose that user is this one here, number of user or single user might be there, and these are the CPU, IO devices, and RAM. So these are the hardware. So can we access these devices without operating system? So that answer would be yes. Definitely we can access without operating system also these devices, but it's very difficult to access. Only expert peoples can access these devices without operating system. So how? Suppose that user wants to access that CPU or the any input output device. So that user needs to write a program to access that CPU. Getting my point? If operating system is not there, user needs to write a program to access that CPU, and then that user can access that CPU. But the common or normal user cannot write that program. Only expert person can write that program. So with that program, that user can access this CPU. And suppose again that user wants to access like input output device or RAM or something. So again, that user needs to write a program to access the input output devices or RAM, right? It means for every access, user needs to write the program. This is the difficult one, I think, right? And the second, the most difficult or drawback, what we can say, suppose one user is accessing the CPU by writing the program, and another user wants to access that CPU. So in that case, that another user will not get that access of the CPU. That reason is the first user has written the program to access the CPU, and that CPU is not free. So that's why that second user cannot access it. So this is again a one limitation of this. So why that operating system is required, right? So that solution would be what then? That operating system must be there. So that operating system work as a manager kind of thing, like getting. So here you can see the that this is a middle layer. This is a user layer. Here in first figure, that there is a no any layer between that user and hardware. So that for every access that user writes a program and get access of the device, but it's very tough and only the expert peoples can access this one. And second is as I said, the multi users cannot access the devices in this case. But when we introduce that operating system in between that user and the CPU, then what will happen with this? So that user will manages the all the calls from the user. Right? Like here, suppose user wants to access the CPU, so this will access, or meantime, suppose any other user is requiring like to access the CPU. So in that case, that memory will give access to that another user also. So this will manage all these things. Or suppose the uh, uh, basic example is like printing, right? Suppose you need to print something. So what normally that user do? Simply that user click on that print option. So when that user click on the print option, so that operating system manage everything and that will give that print to the printer, right? So that's why this operating system is most important concept, and that's why we use that operating system. I think you might understood the why that operating system is required, right? So here again, see, as we know, so the famous operating system is the Windows operating system, and the main primary goal of this operating system is convenience. So if you see that Windows operating system, it is very convenient. So that's why it is very popular, and the initially that in the world, so 95% peoples were use this Windows operating system. Only that reason was it was very convenient to use. If you see that interface is very nice in Windows operating system and all, but the latter on or nowadays, what is the second thing? So convenient is the it's okay, that is a one part, but second part is what? So throughput. Throughput is a one term that will just and next topic I'll just use this term. But just here I'll tell you, throughput is what? The number of tasks executed per unit time. It means right now the people are giving the more importance to the time, and the processes are also more complex and something. So in that case, so throughput is important. So example of that operating system is a Linux, right? So Linux is also giving the convenience to the user, but this is very nice operating system. And right now, if you see that Windows operating system usage is around 80 to 80 percent, same something. So it means user percentage is going to increase. So this is, I think, the what is operating system and so why it is required. Now, second one. So what are the functionalities of operating system? So here I have just listed the functionalities of operating system like resource management, process management, or we can say CPU scheduling, or storage management, memory management, and security. So these are the some functionalities. And see, actually, whatever are these functionalities will syllabus you can say. Because for resource management, one unit is there. For process management, one unit, storage management, memory management. So separate units are there in the operating system for all these functionalities. Now the resource management means what? So this operating system manages all the resources like the CPU, IODOSS and RAM. So if that user wants to access any device, so that operating system manages all these resources. That is thing. Process management is what? Or we can say CPU scheduling. So there are the CPU scheduling algorithms are there. So that operating system again manages all the processes. Process means what? Suppose you are opening any file on the C drive or D drive, suppose. So when you double click on that file, it means it is getting open. So when we just run that file, so that become a process. Or suppose when you have written any C program or Python program, so when you just go for the running of that program, that become a process, right? So this operating system again helps to manage all these processes because in the multitaskings that processes needs to manage very well. So there are the CPU scheduling algorithms are there. So using these algorithms again that processes can be managed. So one example again I'll just tell you for the process management. Like suppose the one printer is there and that printer is shared by the number of users. And what happens there? So suppose the everyone wants to print something. So first person open the document that will print. Second one again open that will print. So in that case, what happens? So all these printing goes into a buffer or you can say queue. So the person who have clicked first on the print option, so that document will be printed first, right? So that means, and second one will print the second. So likewise, that printing option will operation will be performed, right? So this is the process management, and storage management is what? Actually, this is related to your the hard disk. HDD I have written here. So it is related to your hard disk. So whatever the data we store on the secondary disk, like hard disk, so that is again get managed by the operating system. So whatever we store, but the size of that secondary disk is very high. So still, but these to store and manage everything on the hard disk. So that is done by the operating system. Now, second, the most important memory is the memory management because in the storage management, that secondary disk comes hard disk. So there, that storage constant is not there, but in memory management, that size constant is there. So as compared with the secondary memory, that primary memory is what? That is small. So in that case, we need to manage everything. And what is the function of the primary memory? So to execute any process, first we need to bring into the memory. And then from that memory, that process will go for the execution to the CPU. So one example again, just tell you, when we just double click on any file, when you want to open any file, so when you double click, so first that goes to the primary memory, and that then it gets open, we can say. Ready? So I'll show you something like, see, suppose this is a file, suppose RAM, and one file is there, like this is a abc.txt file is there. So what happens? So when we just double click on here, so when you double click here, so this file first goes to the RAM, and after that it goes on the screen, right? So this is a process. So first we need to bring that file into the primary memory, and then it opens. So sometimes if you see, if suppose you are playing any game, so that game needs to bring first to the primary memory, and then we can play that game. Sometimes what happens, suppose that primary memory size is 1 GB and that game size suppose game size is like more than 1 GB, like 4 GB or something. So in that case, this memory will not be supported because that size of this game is 4 GB and that memory size is 1 GB. So that's why that primary memory is most important. To do anything, you need to bring first to the primary memory, and then we can do that thing. Right? So this is again managed by the operating system. Right? So this is memory management. And second, that last one is the security. So as we know that operating system is having that password facility and something. So to authenticate the user, we need to provide that password, right? And if that password is correct, then and then that person can access this one, right? So the Windows operating system uses that Kerberos protocol for this. So security part is again managed by the operating system. So I'll just discuss or will discuss all these the functionalities in detail because for every functionalities there is a one unit, right? So I think you might understood this functionalities of operating system and what is operating system also, right? So now we'll go for the op system programs, but before that, so if you are having any doubt in this operating system, just it's about operating system, the definition and functionalities. So you can ask me, please. So we have seen definition, then without operating system and with operating system, that with the diagram I just explained you. And again, we have seen the functionalities of this operating system. If any doubt, please, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll just move to the next part, that is the system programs. Hmm. See, this is uh, again the next version of, we can say that whatever the previous figure. So only here, one thing again we have added, that is a system program. This layer we have added here, this one, so system programs. Right? Again, here at the bottom layer, the hardware devices are there, and at the top level that application programs are there, and the number of users, we can say user one, two, or like, and applications are programs are the examples of application programs are your Word file, Excel file, or any other applications, right? So these applications are there, and these users, user one, two, three, so these will not access directly this hardware. So how these will access? So that operating system is a main part. Again, in between to this, that the system programs are there. So first, we'll see the programs. So these are the two types of programs. As I said, the application programs and system programs. So whatever is this first one, this is the application program, and this one is the second system program. So what is the system program then? So system program provides a convenient environment for program development and execution. So these system programs will help to this whatever the applications or the users. So for that system programs will help. Whatever is development any user wants to do. So for that program development, that system programs will help. And the if you see that application programs are basically designed for specific tasks. Like suppose you have the Word file, so that is only for the typing something or for the documentation, we can say. If you have the Excel file, so that is we can use for the calculation and for the database kind of thing again. So these are the specific tasks. That's why we say these are the application program. But when we say the system programs, these will help to the program development and execution of the users or the development or program something. And next one, the system programs are basically operates on computer hardware or provide a platform to the application to run. So here you can understand here the system programs are basically operates on computer hardware. So whatever is the bottom layer, so here the system programs can operate. right? Or we can say it provide a platform for the user applications, that we can say, right? So we'll see these are the some system programs. We have said this, the system programs are in between that application programs and we can say hardware. And see, if anything wants to access by the user from this hardware part, so they make a call to the system, but actually everything happens inside, right? Because suppose I just want to give any kind of print, so simply we click on that print, but internally everything happens and then we get the print, right? So that user is having the good interface for the print option. That's why that user doesn't think anything about that internal part. But internally, that system programs put a system calls to this operating system, and then particular task or that hardware will be executed. Now, these are the categories we can say. The system programs can be divided into following categories. So, file management, status information, file modification, programming language support, program loading and execution, and communication. So these are the categories, right, of the system programs. So we'll see these some system programs in detail, but here simply I'll just tell you which are the system programs under these categories. The first one is the file management. Right? So when we say file management, so the system programs will help to create a file or to delete a file or to copy, to rename, to print or to dump, right? So, and this file management category, so that system program will helps to create any file. Suppose you want to create any file on any drive or something, so that will be handled by this system, right? So these are the file management. And the next one is the status information. The whatever are the system programs, these are helps to display the date, time, or we can say the amount of available memory or disk, or the number of user again that will be displayed, or detailed performance of your CPU something, or logging and debugging information. So this status information, whatever is this will be displayed with the help of system programs. Now next one is the file modifications. See that file management and file modification, these are the two different things. We have said that first one is the file management and this is the file modifications. So in first one, there is no any option to modify or to edit the file. But if you want to edit that file, so we have this file management, oh sorry, file modifications. So to edit any file, the several editors are there. Like in if you see that Linux, so there gedit is the popular editor, or any other applications are also there like Word and something. So using that also, that file can be modified. So several text editors may be available to create and modify the contents of file stored on the disk or on other devices, storage devices. Other storage devices like pen drive or any external hard disk or something. Right? So there may be a special command to search contents of the file, like when we say Control F. So with that option again we can search something. So that will be again done by the system programs. Right? So you just keep in your mind here. So file modification and file management, these are the two different things. That file management is simply related to create, delete, copy something, right? And this is about the modification or addition. So if you want to edit any file or you want to create any new file with content, so that will be comes under the file modifications. Right? Now, uh, next is the programming language support. So these are the system programs. Compiler is a system program, assembler is a system program, debugger and interpreter. So we will see these in detail, right? Because we have detailed uh, these system programs in your syllabus. So here you just need to know. So under this programming support category, so compiler is there, assembler, debugger, and interpreter. Compiler is where it is used. So suppose you are compiling any C program, Java program, or CPP program. So to create the object file or that is readable by the computer, so to create that file, we need that compiler. So compiler convert that high level language program code to the machine code, we can say. Right? Same thing is assembler is it's related to the assembly language. It convert that to the machine language, assembly language to machine language. Debugger is what? So to debug a program step by step, if suppose any problem is there in your program and you want to check where is that problem, so in that case you can debug your program line by line, and then we can get the actual error or actual problem in that. Right? Interpreter is what? Interpreter is again the similar to compiler assembler, only that difference is what? Here, that in main difference in compiler and the interpreter is the compiler compiles your whole program, right? But that interpreter executes that line by line, first line, then second line, then fourth line, and third line, and something, right? So this will execute line by line, and compiler will compile the complete file. Getting? So these are just coming under the programming language support. So we will see detail about all these four, right? So here only I'll tell you the which are the system programs coming under this category. Now next one is the program loading and execution. Again, this we'll see in detail, the absolute loader, reloader, relocated loader, and something, right? But these are coming under program loading and execution. So once a program is assembled or compiled, this is when we compile your program, so that will create an object file, right? And once that object file is been created, so we need to send or bring that object file to the primary memory. Then and then we can send it to the uh, execution to the CPU, right? So once a program is assembled or compiled, it must be loaded into main memory to be executed. So here that loader is a system program that do this one, so to bring that object file to the main memory, right? So the system may provide these are the loaders which loads that object file into the memory. So absolute loader, relocate loader, linking editors, and overlay. So these are the coming under this. We'll see again these details in tomorrow's lecture, right? So only here under this or in the program loading and execution category. So main thing is, so we need to bring that object file to the main memory. That is thing. Now next one is the communication. So under this communication category, so these programs provides mechanism for like creating a virtual connection among the process. Actually, see, the communication comes in the kind of network, right? So if you are having your machine to the network, so in that case, this communication category comes actually. So creating a virtual connection among processes or users and computer systems. And again, allowing user to send messages to one another screen. So from one computer to another computer, suppose you want to send any kind of message. So in that case, again, so that system call will help this one, right? Again, to browse web pages. So if you want to browse something, right? So when you just open any browser or something, and if you want to access some the information, so in that case, again, that the communication protocol comes to send electronic messages, so like emails and something, to log in remotely or to transfer files from one machine to another machines. So again, this will be done by the system programs. So these are the categories of the system program. So we have sent, right? So file management, status information, file modification, programming language support, program loading, execution, and communication. So these are the categories of the system programs. So we'll see the details about the system programs again. Any doubt in this? So main thing you just understood here. So system program is what? So it gives the platform to execute the application program, we can say, or whatever the program development is there. Like, because whatever program we write, that we write into the uh, natural language kind of English, we can say. So that actually language is not understandable by the computer. So because computer understand only binary language, so machine language that we can say. So that is a binary only 0 1 0 1 something. So to convert that one, so this is the process we can say. Now we'll see the program execution process also. I'll show you here. See, this is a program execution process so that you will understand the concept. Now see, suppose we have written a program that might be in C, CPP or Java. So first, the to translate that high level language program means from English to the object code. So here is the object code and this is a program. So to convert this high level program to this low level program, or we can say machine level code, so various translators have been used. Right? So which are these translators? The assembler is a translator, compiler, interpreter. These are the translator. So this assembler is used for that assembly language actually. Right? So using these translators, this code, the program code will be converted to the object codes. And once that object code is the created, that object file is created. See, whenever I just say object or object file, so don't consider that object in the CPP or Java like, this is a different one. So when that object file is created, that will be stored on the secondary disk, and whatever is that created file, we need to execute. So execute means what? We need to first bring it to the primary memory and then we can execute. So to execute that object file, this one, so we need to load that into the memory. This is the loader part. In between this one, this link, and see whatever are these translator. So these will check only the syntax. Suppose the C program is there and you compile that program, or CPP program is there. So whatever is the printf or scanf, the function, so it checks only that format of that printf and scanf, right? That the translator or that any compiler or interpreter, that will not check the actual the code of that printf and scanf. Getting my point? It just check the format of that function. So whatever is the printf function format and scanf function format, or we can say the other function C in and C out in CPP something. So it checks only format of that. It is not interested into the coding part of that printf and scanf or C in and C out something. And it will create that object file. But when you want to create that executable file, this one, so in that case, the whatever is the format and whatever is the code part of that printf and scanf, that will be checked. And once that executable file is created, that will be suppose stored on the hard disk. So we need to bring that file to the primary memory. So that file will be uh, sent or bring with this loader. So this loader, whatever is the system call, system program, this loader, this will bring that file from secondary disk to the primary memory. And then from primary memory, that will send to the execution to the processor, right? So have you understood this one? So whatever is our the program execution process, so if you understood this program execution process, then whatever the system programs we are taking in tomorrow's lecture, that these system programs will understand. Because this flow is most important. So program to object code and object code to loader. Actually, these three steps you just understand. Program is first, then object code and the loader. So in between whatever, so these will be handled by the system programs. Have understood this? Yes. So any doubt in this? And in tomorrow's lecture, we'll see actual the system programs like compiler, interpreter, linker, loader. These we'll see in the tomorrow's lecture. So today we have said the what is operating system, why it is required, then system programs. So in programs, first is the application program and second is the system programs. So application program purpose is what? That is developed for the specific task, and whatever the system program that helps or provide the environment, or we can say platform to the program development. Right? And we have seen the different categories of this one, system programs. So the 6 categories are there. Under these categories, so some system programs are there. These programs we'll see in tomorrow's lecture. And we have seen the program execution flow. So that program execution flow, if you understood, then whatever is the tomorrow's part, that we'll understand in the easiest way. Right? So if you are having any doubt, then ask me please.
Hello, sir.
Huh?
Sir, please explain the linker again.
See, a linker, loader, and whatever is the compiler, assembler, these I'll explain in detail in tomorrow's lecture.